So this is podcast number 5.
Yes, it is.
I think it's 5.
5?
Yes.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Currently we're in a hot air balloon floating over the Pacific Ocean.
Yes. Over Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Oh my God, such a good movie.
Submerged.
Actually, we just got done. So we're recording these all on the same day, and so we just took a long break, and both
Why do
of
you
us.
gotta tell people our secrets?
I know, right? Yeah. And they were like pretty freaking. You know, we're in a food coma.
Food coma's good. Yeah, we just had a great big hamburger.
Yeah. All right. And so the topic right now. Why don't you take it?
Okay, I'll take it. Tony's going to leave this one more to me. Yeah, this is a little nerdy, but whatever. I'm doing it. So I wanted to do this topic, and it's everything you need to know about life you can learn from rock and roll.
Sure.
And in particular, rock and roll from our generation, our era.
Define that.
68 through 95.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a big old. But yeah. Plenty of good rock in there.
Primarily focusing on 72 to 82, probably.
Okay.
So mostly 70s, but spilling over a little bit.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, the 70s or 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And they were real different. They were different, but.
Yeah.
But.
Well, we had such a wide. So I find this to be interesting. If you look at rock and roll in general. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I find interesting is they look at all the music before rock and roll, and most of it wasn't dealing with topics that were serious. Well, sometimes, but mostly it was like, country and western music was storytelling. Most of that was based in storytelling. Some of it was sad stories or whatever, but
right.
Most of it was storytelling.
So when you say, because you think about the earliest rock and roll, that would be the 50s?
50. I think Elvis was 54, I think.
Right.
Something
and there was,
like that.
That like Buddy Holly and all those folks.
Yeah, after that, yeah.
Then you kind of had, and again, not that we need to uncork the timeline, but, you had the 50s, and that was kind of your that kind of style, the early rock and roll, and you had like the early 60s and then the psychedelic 60s.
If you're still in the 50s, though, you're talking Elvis, you're talking Buddy Holly, you're talking those things. But look at the subject matter. Most of it is still about love, right? Relationships. Most of it was relationships.
Teeny bopper stuff. Yeah.
And most of the music prior to that, going back to like Bing Crosby or in the 30s and all that, most of that music was about relationships and good stuff. And I don't know, maybe that's because life was hard and that was an uplifting sort of relief,
Sure.
But by the time we get into the 60s, we start tackling more serious topics.
Sure.
In music. And there's a million examples of that.
That's right. I would think that it's interesting because I think I've thought about this recently is that, a lot of times with rock and roll and even music nowadays, but definitely with rock, there, a lot of it was kind of relationship focused. They love stuff, and then but then there's definitely rock that you're like, well, we can start throwing out examples, but
my point is basically that we start tackling things like philosophy and rock and roll and Kansas Dust in the Wind, right?
Right.
The perfect example. Like you listen to that song, and what it tells you is it's all fleeting, right?
Nihilistic.
Yeah. It's it, man. It's your dust in the wind. And you could relate it to the biblical stories, right? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? That's kind of where we came from and it's where we're going to end up. So I don't remember things like that in earlier music being tackled, in that way. Right. Poets tackled that for centuries, and philosophers, of course. But and another good example is Styx, The Grand Illusion. Yeah. Right?
I love Styx.
Yeah. So I printed out some of these so we could check out some of the lyrics. Like, for example, in The Grand Illusion, there's a paragraph or a phrase, "Don't be fooled by the radio, the TV, or the magazines. They show you photographs of how your life should be, but they're just someone else's fantasy."
Right.
So that's automatically, it's like, wait a second, that's deeper than she loves me, yeah, right? It's deeper than that. Right. And then if you think your life is complete confusion because you never win the game, just remember that it's a grand illusion. Deep inside, we're all the same. Right. So again, it's like, okay, there's a message there, and it's actually a positive message. Sometimes it's not always, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's not good. But then you get into this whole era of anti-war, right? The whole anti-war thing. man, there was a lot of good music that came out of that.
Sure. One comes to mind is Credence's "Fortunate Son" is still my all-time favorite.
Oh man, that's a great tune.
It's a great song.
Yeah, absolutely. And it tells you the rich people don't send their kids to war, and the poor people.
Yeah, and one thing about that song definitely. It still rocks, man. You know what I mean? It's an insanely good song. Yeah,
it's good music as well as the lyrics are good. And that brings me to Black Sabbath War Pigs, and it's the same message. So that song is about politicians starting these wars, but they don't send their children. Right. And so if you go through the lyrics of that, it talks about they're going to get their own in the end. So Satan will come for those guys. So most people thought of Black Sabbath as this satanic worshiping. I don't know if you remember that stigma that they had. They were like very dark, and
sure.
The stories about biting off bat heads and concerts, all that shit.
Sure.
But I mean, this is a great example. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's like, hey man, there's actually there's a real message in there that rings of truth. And it rings hard. It's difficult to listen to sometimes, but it's legit. Let's see. Okay, so let's move on to one that I know you're very familiar with, and I think you and I will agree on this one is Rush.
Oh God,
The Trees.
Yeah.
What a song, man.
Right.
Like, how could you take a messed up society and write a song about it and relate it to nature and trees? Like, it's perfect, man. Just Neil Peart.
Yeah. Neil was amazing. I mean, God, great loss. But of course, I think we all, 2112 is an amazing album, and of course, Moving Pictures, because that was about the age. I remember moving. That was my introduction to Rush. Signals, maybe.
Right.
But God, man, I can't. It's weird. As I've gotten older, I can't get enough of Rush. So
yeah, it's because again, I think it has that ring of truth that goes through it.
Yeah. Well, plus again, like we're saying, I mean. I'm thinking through Moving Pictures right now, and is there any song where it directly focuses on relationships? And I'm not too sure. I don't think so. I mean,
Limelight's the closest you're going to get.
Yeah, but even that's just that's a very personal song, man. That is just so Neil Peart, because exactly. He wanted to be the best possible drummer, but he didn't. He
didn't care about being famous.
Didn't care about being famous.
He didn't like it.
He didn't like people come like the whole line in there. Treating people like they're some old
long lost friend.
But man, I know a song that we listened to back when we were driving up the Keys. Red Barchetta. Oh my God, what a great song!
That's a great tune. Yeah.
It's a story. It's such a great story. And then Tom Sawyer's amazing, of course.
Yeah.
But all their stuff,
well, Spirit of the Radio. That's another good example, right?
Amazing
Listen
song.
to that. And basically, it's talking about the hypocrisy and the different layers of what it takes to be in the rock and roll business, right? How hypocritical some of it is, but how rewarding some of it is at the same time. So again, that's a complex idea that's put to really good music.
The thing about Rush though is like you read the lyrics and you're like, how does anybody sing these lyrics, man? And man, but he makes them melodic.
He does. So. He complains about the video, the what do you call it, the documentary that I watched about them. He complained about that.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, Neil writes these great lyrics, but how the hell am I supposed to sing this?
I know. There's a few documentaries. I don't know if we're talking about the same one or not, but they're just they're very average guys, man.
Normal dudes.
Yeah,
that just write incredible music.
Yeah, they're but it is funny because you talk about that, like the Spirit of the Radio. Even like Billy Joel had The Entertainer, same thing. They talk. Where.
If I don't get sold, I'll end up in the back like a little can of beans. Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, I just find that to be kind of interesting. That in paralleling that,
right.
What has happened to the entertainment world, right? And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of undecided. But if we back time up to, let's just say, roughly around the Dark Ages, the medieval times, bards, for example, were well respected, right? Musicians were all well respected in terms of like, oh, that takes talent to do what this person's doing, singing, playing lutes or whatever the hell they were playing, right? But they weren't superstars.
I'm nodding, but I don't really know.
Yeah, if I open a closet, there's a lute in there. I know.
So
I got two of them.
Where can I get lute lessons?
I need some lute strings. I mean, I got some of those. Yeah. But no, so but those guys were, they were entertainers for the
Right.
most part, but they were not superstars. They were not untouchable, this megastar kind of thing. And I think all that started to happen around that Elvis time frame.
You think?
Maybe even a little bit before that, because some of the country and western Grand Ole Opry folks, from the late 40s and 50s.
I hadn't thought about that, only because when did fame start becoming a thing, for especially for entertainers? I think,
Did they copy the movie business? Because the movies really started taking off in the 30s, late 30s.
I think probably there was people that were locally famous, that were
Yes.
actors at
Yeah, for
theaters
sure.
and stuff
Yep.
like that, going back from wherever. Oh, Shakespeare, right? But
Right.
but with that said, probably a little bit before that. But I think true, I think you might be onto something in that. Maybe big band stuff and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned movies. There were definitely huge movie stars.
Sure.
Because you go back to Charlie Chaplin or whatever. But I think maybe when things became national and international is when people.
But think about that for a second. Charlie Chaplin or the big band guys, right? If you went to see a big band show, let's say you went to that kind of like that stereotypical movie scene of a big band. There's a restaurant with all the tables and the big band's playing.
Which
and
would be
everybody,
awesome.
Yeah, and everybody applauds and all that stuff. But after the show, you could go up and talk to those guys. Like, hey,
Yeah.
man, that was a great performance.
Yeah.
And it was it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, forget it, man.
No.
You
Well,
can't,
it's same with, and again, only because I've kind of looked into it a little bit, but even sports.
Yeah, same deal.
You'd go watch a game, you'd go watch the Brooklyn Dodgers play, and then after the game, you'd walk home with the players.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah, long gone.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that same thing happened to musicians, and I think it's to the detriment of music.
Sure.
I think it's a really difficult thing to live with that level of stardom and then still be prolific. Still write, I guess, meaningful music. And that's what's the thing about Neil Peart that I think is so awesome is that, he kept most of that stuff at arm's length. And they would go on the tour bus, and he would ride his motorcycle between gigs, instead of going on the tour bus and feeling like a superstar.
Man, I got to tell you, it was just the whole thing with Neil, man. His life.
Oh, tragic.
Tragic. For one, and I think, Alex and Getty even acknowledged the fact that he was always kind of, there was them and there was him, And no, they loved him, but he was
different. He was different.
Yeah, they grew up together, and so they always just had that. And then he had all the death in his family, and you talk about the whole. I know in the documentary they talk about how he, I forget who passed away first, either his wife or his kid. I can't remember.
I think it was his wife.
Yeah, and anyway, but both those people, he lost both those people, and he rode his motorcycle all over Central South America, because people didn't know him, and he had that kind kind of freedom.
Yeah, and it was meditation time for him, It was time for introspective. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And by the way, the only concert I think Doug and I've ever seen together is Rush.
Rush.
Yeah, so
that was in probably
Miami. Yeah, 91 or 92.
Yeah, I still got the ticket stub.
You're kidding.
Yeah, no, I still got
But
it.
what album was it? Do you remember?
Ooh, no, I don't.
Was it with an album? I don't know.
I have it in my CD case with moving pictures, but it wasn't the moving pictures.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
I've seen them in concert 3 times.
Yeah.
So
and they're awesome every time.
Oh, well, it bugs me because I know they're probably never going to tour again. Well, they're not.
Yeah, they won't.
Yeah, they won't. But yeah, shit.
Good stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of all I really wanted to talk about was the kind of the impact, I guess, that rock and roll has had on the philosophical approach in the world. And I don't even think it's all good, because you have some musicians out there that are dark, and they put music out, I think, that has a detrimental effect on society.
Example?
For me, an example would be Bob Dylan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I am not a Bob Dylan fan.
I am not either.
I do not like Bob Dylan.
But
I think.
Did you ever watch? By the way, I'm totally going non sequitur here just for a second. Yeah. What was that movie starring? Oh shit! My brain is cutting off. But the guy who starred in Step Brothers with Will Ferrell.
Oh shit! That guy,
and he did this movie. Oh my god! I'm just basically just throwing the stuff out. But he played kind of it was like a Dewey Long Story. Walk Hard. The Dewey Long Story was the name of the movie.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, but it's just a kind of like almost it's extremely broad, almost like Airplane kind of humor. The movie Airplane, not quite there, but close.
Which that should have been on my list.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. But close. But he does like we're gonna look it up when this is over.
Okay.
But where he does like first he does like Elvis, and then he's like then Johnny Cash, and then he gets into the psychedelic era, and he does like this Bob Dylan thing, and it is so spot on. but you listen to it and you're like, he's captured why I don't like Bob Dylan.
Lampposts in the twisted birth canal of the Coliseum. Rim job fairy teapots mask the temper tantrum. Oh, say, can you see 'em? Stuffed cabbage is the darling of the laundromat. The mouse with the overbite explained how the rabbit...
What the hell is this song about?
I have no idea. You guys are idiots. This song is very deep.
Inside the three-eyed monkey within inches of his toaster.
And it's a great movie. It's a great comedy.
I'll have to check it out because to me, it's Bob Dylan's like the original emo. I don't like that guy.
Well, I recommend the movie. You'd like it. I don't know. I have no idea what you like, but you probably.
Well, I put Bob Dylan up there with really similar to every Woody Allen movie. Really similar to all that like uber New York stuff, right? Anything that is like uber New York, and Woody Allen is basically 100% New York. Spike Lee, same thing, right? Yeah. All of their perspective on things is so different than mine that I can't relate. I don't like it. I don't want to like it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Of course, if you talk to their fans, they're gonna be, "Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever," whatever. And I just like there's a lot of. I mean, again, I definitely have a popular. Like Springsteen, same way.
Yeah, I mean, there's like one or two Springsteen songs I can kind of get behind.
The cheesy popular stuff from the 80s, right?
Sure. Well, even like Born to Run, I like. Okay,
Yeah.
But it's just it's a good rock song to me. But once you get into the lyrics, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, there's definitely music. That's maybe this new podcast. We should be like guilty, whatever the opposite of guilty pleasures is like music that people really, really like, and I just don't like it. I
don't get it. Yeah.
I don't get it. And another, I could definitely get into it. There's people, and I just know that would probably generate all kinds of hate.
Oh yeah, the Beatles would be top of my list.
Beatles. I mean, I probably think at the time, and this is we're really going off here, but at the time, if the Beatles were around, I probably would be like, yeah, they're fine, but it's just one of those. And here's a huge stretch of an example, right? Mm-hmm. Like Citizen Kane, for example. Everybody's like, "What an amazing movie! Citizen Kane's an amazing movie."
About that,
but I watch it in the context of what I know right now, and I'm kind of like, "That's all right."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay. You know, and same with the Beatles. You know, I mean, their early stuff is strictly just 3-chord stuff.
Pop,
and then their later stuff, you're just kind of like, I guess it kind of brought in psychedelic kind of stuff, but. It's not anything.
It's not appealing to me.
It's just not anything I really get behind. I mean, I guess in a way it's interesting, but I am never ever going to be like, oh, let me put together a Beatles playlist. Never.
So here's this on that same note. I had a neighbor across the street when I lived in California that was, gosh, man, he pirated music like crazy.
Yeah.
And he had a music collection that was massive, all digital, and he gave it to me. I just brought my hard drive over and, burned all the music.
Right.
I immediately just deleted all the Beatles stuff. I just knew I'm never going to listen to it. I just don't care. I mean,
that is commitment to dislike, man.
No,
I mean,
it's not even that. It's just like it's taking up space. I know I'm never going to listen to it.
If you need the space, I get it.
No, it was just like, it's something else I have to filter through.
Sure.
So anyway.
Yeah, well, okay, so yeah, there's that. I don't. Again, we don't. Maybe one of these days we should. That would be an actually interesting thing to do. Just to
do a Beatles episode.
No. To just say like this is everybody loves this band. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, but with that said, you get kind of back on the things that like to me that music, that I think everything that I could learn was I could learn through rock and roll. Bob Seger. God, man, I can.
Yep.
Like I listen to now. Obviously, he does love songs, but you look at like a lot of stuff, even into his 80s. Man, they're just kind of like, wow. It's
just well for him. For me, listening to Bob Seger, I relate that a lot to the similar to Jackson Browne. Very, very good songwriting, musically and lyrically.
Yes.
Like, they find the right words. They use enough of the right words. It's not all filler. There's no yeah. You know what I mean? There's none of that.
Well, Jackson Browne is a poet, man.
Yeah,
he really
no
is.
doubt. Yep. And then writes very good music to accompany his. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but they were good friends with the Eagles, and he helped us co-write a lot of that stuff. Glenn Frey. Yeah, they were buddies.
I can see it.
Yeah, so I think they were touring L.A. and the circuit there before they were famous for a long time prior to them actually hitting. But some of the other things that
oh crap, Bob Seger's touring. I'm sorry.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I would go see Bob Seger.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll circle back around.
Yeah. So, but Lynyrd Skynyrd, like most people don't think of them when they think of
God.
like whatever.
Did you see the documentary about them?
I did, yeah. That was pretty awesome.
What's interesting about that is that you wouldn't. They're great live, but I guess Van Zandt was a slave driver when it
That's
came to.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, like all because it's funny because you listen to like the Allman Brothers, right? And they're all about riffing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes to a point where you're like.
All right.
Just in the
song.
In the song, right? It's like oh my
I'm
God.
Asleep.
Oh, it's like Jesus Christ.
Is this the same song?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just got back. I just got done cooking a turkey.
Yeah.
You're still. You're like still playing those chords, but yeah, the Lynyrd Skynyrd, they were so amazing live because. They played that stuff so much, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they like you talked in the last podcast about how, you had like a built shed. That's kind of what they did. They had like a built
out in the middle of Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, if you take their song, "Give Me 3 Steps," right? Give me 3 steps towards the door. A guy gets caught dancing with a girl in a bar, and it's somebody else's girl, and he's staring down the barrel of a 32 or 38 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's one of the best songs ever, by the way.
Well, yeah. So, but if you listen to it, that's a cool story for one. But the moral of the story is, don't mess around with other people's girls.
Right.
You're going to get yourself in trouble, shot or otherwise. Right. But then they one up themselves on that when they wrote Saturday Night Special.
Right.
And that's just about how easy it is to get a cheap gun on the streets for $20. And there's a very clear line in that song saying we should just throw them all at the bottom of the sea.
Right.
So it's kind of a gun control song.
Kind of is a gun control song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about that when listening to it before.
Yeah. So
I wonder what kind of spurred them to do that. Because, they're from the South.
Yeah. Well, I would think they probably have seen some of their buddies get shot. I mean, in stupid drunken poker games. That's kind of what they allude to in the song.
Well, it's interesting because, like, a lot of the band members that are still alive are they're pretty conservative now. You know what I mean? So which is a big pivot, I guess, for when you think about gun control.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Then we move out of the 70s. Well, sticking with the 70s, we got "Take It Easy," right, from the Eagles.
Great song.
One of the songs that made them uber famous, right?
I love the Eagles, but man, to me, I think as a kid I overplayed the Eagles.
Oh yeah, burned.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I'm not. Yeah, well, I know you talk about "Take It Easy," and of course you got Hotel California.
Yeah. There's a million. They got so many hits. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like
on the lines of things that we could learn in life from rock and roll, "Take It Easy." That's it, man. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy.
Right.
Right? That's it. That's a great line. The long run? Oh, yeah, man. It's all about commitment. That whole thing is about you got to be committed, In the long run, this is what really matters. Don't fall for those short little traps.
Exactly.
Are you a Dire Straits fan?
Yes. I went to go see them in concert for the whatever album had Money for Nothing.
That wasn't Communique. Communique was earlier than that. Brothers in Arms.
Brothers in Arms, yep.
Yeah. So, which is interesting because if you listen to that song, Brothers in Arms, oh man, check out the lyrics of that. It is awesome.
Really?
Epic tribute to the people in the military in any country. It's ubiquitous, but it's about giving up the things that you have at home and you're comfortable with, and going and fighting for your country or what you believe in, and the people around you are your brothers in arms, and one day you'll be able to go back to your, wherever you come from, and you no longer have to have that commitment to your brothers in arms. So to me, the music in that song is super cool too. It's really airy and open and spacious, and this is getting into my audiophile nerdness. But when you listen to that on vinyl on a really good stereo, it's like, wow, you can feel it, man. It's around you, like the music surrounds you. It's super good.
Man, I tell you, I'm talking about just songs that I thought were, what was it? I might need to look it up, but Mark Knopfler was he's guitar and the vocal, right? Yep. Yeah, and so, and I mean, what was that song? Was it Down by the Waterline or something like that? Oh my God, the guitar in that.
Oh yeah, that guy's a great guitar player. I saw an interview with him once, and they were like, "Man, you got such a cool style, man! Like that slow kind of like deliberate kind of style. Where did you develop that?" And he said, "I honestly wanted to play faster. I just can't play any faster." So that's how it all fell into place.
And again, I think he's got a little bit in common, like Eric Clapton, things like that.
Yeah, the phrasing.
But Dire Straits is amazing.
Oh man, I love that band. I listen to them all the time. We were talking earlier about Jackson Browne. What about that song "Running on Empty"?
Oh, it was a great song.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I ride bikes, and I have like a list of like a cycling list, that song's on there.
Yeah.
Because it's great.
Yeah, it's a great tune. Yeah. Just talking about, how we all get caught up in life and we just keep going, and at some point in your life you find yourself running on empty and you just keep going. Yeah. It's just what you do. And so
Oh, and plus
very poignant because he was in his young 20s when he wrote that.
Yeah, like I think he even talks about it in that song, if I remember correctly.
He does,
about how
there's a little timeline about when he's 17.
69, I was 21. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then here's one for you. Pat Benatar, Hell is for Children.
Oh, God. Well, I love Pat Benatar.
Yeah. Well, Hell is for Children is about child abuse.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's about. It's about kids, going to school with a black eye saying, "Oh, I fell off the swing."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know better. It's getting beat at home.
Dark.
Like, well, yeah, but this is my point. Like, this isn't, I keep picking on the Beatles, but this isn't She Loves Me, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah.
Right.
This is serious crap, and you can like it or not like it, whatever. But, my point is just that artists started to experiment with these darker and sometimes broader, sometimes more serious topics in music.
And I think obviously, there were singer-songwriters too.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Okay, this one's gonna get you. Pretty much anything made by Pink Floyd.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, okay, so here's one. We keep doing this, but if you're listening to this podcast and you have not listened to Dark Side of the Moon, start to finish, you need to do it.
Right.
With the lyrics in your hand or with the lyrics, coming up on screen or whatever. Because to me, that is the number one album that I've ever heard that sort of captures the human spirit. Like, all parts of it. From us and them and the divisions that we create amongst ourselves as humans, to time, to money, right? We're all after money, and that whole concept that is about.
Right.
What's the other one they got on there where we got Time to Waste? Ah, shit, I can't remember the name of the tune. Ticking away, watching the days tick away.
Oh crap!
I know. Now you got me. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But the thing is, the album, the time of the concept album's gone. You know what I mean? So.
Right. So that's a good segue into my next question and this whole topic. And there's a lot more. I got a ton more songs and artists that I think are exceptional in this particular realm. But that brings me to the next point, which is where the hell is all the good music nowadays? Right? And I know if you listen, I don't listen to rap. I don't actually like rap, and it's not for any stereotypical reasons. It's just that some of the beats that they come up with are great. I actually like the rhythms and the music itself. But I find like that cheapy, instantaneous rhyming to be that's like a parlor trick, and it gets old. You can do one or two songs like that, but shit, it seems like every rap song is really similar in that regard. And that just it wears me out. But I hear from people that like rap that they do tackle a lot of these deeper subjects. And I haven't heard it because I just don't listen to it. But in rock and roll, man, Vietnam War came around, right? How many awesome songs. Got all CCR's entire career came out of that, just about, right? I mean,
Right.
Grace Slick and all of those bands that did these protest songs for the war. Where's that? We've had multiple wars in the past couple of decades, I guess. Where's that music? Why is this generation not going like, BS, man? We're gonna write protest songs about whatever. I wouldn't have to agree with the protest, but where's all of the artists, the real artists? What happened to them?
Yeah, well, and also you like, you hate, because again we're over 50, and I kind of don't want to be my father. You know what I mean? Where I'm kind of like, damn kids and this freaking music is crap.
Yeah, right.
But but I can't help but to listen to what I like to listen to, and then maybe hear a song by a current artist and be like, I don't know, I don't understand it. I just know what I like just seems better.
So I think I approach that. I approach new music very open-minded. Like I'll go into it and I will. If I like it, I'm gonna like it. That's it. And I'll give you an example. They're called. Oh damn it! Now I'm just drawing a blank. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
You
got food coma, man.
You're gonna. I probably do.
What are they singing on
The
Google?
Warning is they're called. They're three teenage girls. I want to say they're from South America, somewhere like Brazil. They're called.
What are they called?
The Warning.
Okay.
And they got famous by doing a cover of a hardcore song. I want to say it was a Metallica song or something. They did a cover version of that in their living room or something. And they started to get famous.
Oh, they're from Mexico.
Oh, they're Mexican. Okay. But those girls rock, man. I mean, that to me, modern. I don't think any of them's over 21.
They don't look it.
Yeah, and there's
just three of them.
Rock. Yep, they're three sisters, if I'm not mistaken. And they got a little bit of grooming. They started to become popular on YouTube, and somebody discovered them, and you could easily watch the transition from that raw kind of homemade stuff to they started to get some production value in their videos. And but yeah, so they're on tour, and I'd go see them. Mm-hmm. I think they rock. To me, that's modern music. Okay. And The Pretty Reckless. Have you ever heard of
that?
I
love Pretty Reckless.
Yeah, that's another version. That's modern rock and roll.
Right.
That kicks ass, man. To me, they remind me of like Kiss, Yeah. Their music doesn't really mean, there's not a whole bunch of depth and meaning like we've been talking about, but it's good music. It's just good old-fashioned rock and roll. So, but I mean, to me, I'm finding that hard. It's hard for me to find that nowadays.
It is. Well, I guess probably one of the things I was thinking about when you were talking about where is good music, I think... you think about how, well, for one, it's corporate, mm-hmm. It's about money, mm-hmm. And, I think a while ago, I don't know if we talked about it in one of our podcasts, but we even talked about Rush and how like the record company pushed hard against Rush not to do 2112, right? Mm-hmm. They wanted a song with hooks, but they got away with it, right? Mm-hmm. And I just don't think that's a thing anymore. I think, mm-hmm. And also, all the music, it doesn't matter, who the star is being funneled through, just a very small, specific number of songwriters, mm-hmm. and there's people that know how to write this stuff, and that's what becomes famous. And I do think there's good bands out there, and it's funny because I think about like when iPods first came out, right? Because mm-hmm. I got an iPod and I got an Apple, Apple Tunes or whatever it was called at the time. Mm-hmm. And man, they had like a great album. I don't know what it was, but was it 15 years ago, 20 years ago? That thing was amazing at like recommending, like, hey, if you like this, you'll like this. And I was like, so there was a period like in maybe 2002 to 2007, 6, 7, mm-hmm. where I was just like stacking music because I was just finding a lot of good stuff. But
you should tell me how much you like Bowling for Soup.
What's that? I love Bowling for Soup. Yeah. Well, they're pop punk. Yeah. That got kind of been a pop punk thing. Where that to me that was rock, and it kind of drives me crazy that. And again, fine, hip hop is still popular. That's sure, great, but whatever. But the thing is though that there was this moment where like you were like we kind of had, and both of us kind of got into grunge. And mm-hmm. And then grunge and this kind of pop punk and so forth, and then it's it just burns out. You're just like, why is this burning? Why is this not lasting? Because to me it's good music. And again, you talk about songs that tell stories, songs that have philosophy, songs that matter outside of like relationship, And again, love ballads, fine, whatever,
Sure.
they're great. But
Yeah, there's a place for it. Yeah.
but there's also a huge place for Requiem of the Edmund Fitzgerald. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
I don't know if I ever told you this, but that is the very first song that I actually memorized the lyrics to.
wow.
That's the very first one. And there's a lot of lyrics to that damn song.
Yeah, and some of the lyrics, it's
Yeah.
like God, depressing song.
Yeah, no, but the story is what captivated me. The story of the ship and how the Indians even wove in the Indian folklore in there. About the Lake
Right.
Gitchagumi.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that kind of stuff.
But
hits close to home.
I think it's interesting, and this is really. I won't say it's guesswork. I know a little bit, but I'm by no means any kind of historical expert on any of this stuff. But I think what happened is when Elvis and the Beatles hit, larger corporations realized how much money that they could make, and they started searching for these people and grooming them, right? And then giving them money up front to do things and so on, right? Queen's a great example, right? They gave these guys a shit ton of money up in the front to start making records, and of course they made plenty of money back in return. But I think that's died, right? With most of the record industry, as in vinyl records, and CDs, physical media kind of died. So when streaming started coming around, it became less lucrative. It was too easy for people to steal music, and they stopped making as much money. So they stopped putting money into finding artists and developing artists. Like there's a famous story about Rasta Man. What's his name? The most famous Rasta.
Oh, you mean
Bob
Marley?
Marley. Bob Marley, yep. Famous story. That guy was literally like, I think, singing on the streets, like making up Rastafarian rap or whatever you wanted to call his music. And somebody discovered him and said, this guy's pretty cool, and he's got a neat vibe and all that sort of stuff. Let's bring him. And they had to teach him everything. He didn't know anything. And they literally built that guy from a marketing and talent perspective. And then he became Bob Marley, and he's famous, and all that sort of stuff. So that level of commitment from big money is gone. So except the Taylor Swifts and I don't even know who these modern artists are, because that's the end
Katy
of my
Perry, I
Katy
guess.
Perry, those kind of artists, those big pop stars. So I think that the musicianship is still there. I think there's probably plenty of bands out there that are making great music, but you just can't freaking find them.
Right.
Because all those guys can do is record stuff. And, I mean, technology's awesome nowadays. You can record beautiful stuff in your garage with...
Right.
I mean, we're recording this podcast on a thing that's only barely bigger than your wallet.
Right.
So the tech is there. But it's finding these guys once they produce this music.
Well, and they can put it out there. I mean, like they can put it on Spotify or something like that.
Yeah, but how are you going to find it?
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. What
kind of recommendations are you getting? That's getting skewed, right, by the people who are. So they'll recommend Katy Perry to you, but will they recommend Joe's Garage Band? Probably not.
It's kind of twofold. Like again, I don't, because I use Spotify, right? Mm-hmm. And
is that a plug? We're not sponsored by Spotify, in case anyone's
we're
wondering.
We're on Spotify.
Yeah, but anyway, they don't sponsor us for anything. We pay them; they don't pay us.
Sorta.
Yeah.
But with that said, there's the algorithm. Like I'll listen to something that because I do that thing where I'm like, oh well. The first point is that I don't have the dedication to like pour through a lot of music and pull out what I like and what I don't.
Right.
I have a playlist right now that is a playlist that every time I think, oh my gosh, it's been a while, because you and I were talking about Kansas a while ago, and I actually liked they had an album in the 80s called Power. I liked it, so I dumped a couple songs on there. So this is an ever growing playlist, right? And so it's probably got like 80 hours of music that just constantly this is growing. I've got a couple other playlists that I have. Maybe I have like a country playlist or whatever, and it just But and just a quick side note, funny story. I recently was with some friends, and we were traveling, for like about 5 hours, and they were like, God damn, how much Bob Seger
Can you have a new playlist?
It's like, this is nothing
Bob
but a play.
Seger playlist.
It's just like nothing but Bob Seger. And I'm like, I swear to God, it's not. It may be like 5 Bob Seger songs, but the Spotify playlist was like, turn the page, motherfucker. Anyway, so we, but so like I'll start listening to stuff, but I don't have the dedication to hey, if you like this, you'll like this, and I do like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, no, waste of time.
Right.
But that's the thing, is the algorithm is not all that, not what it used to be.
Yeah.
And
I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a glut. Maybe there's so much music.
It could be that, or I'm thinking sinister. I'm thinking that the people
Sure.
that they pay more. It's pay to play,
Right.
basically. Same with Google. You pay enough money and you come up as number 1 in the Google
Right.
search and so on. So.
Well, that's another thing too. Recently, talk about artists. I always kind of want to circle around about artists I don't like. I've never been like a Neil Young fan.
Oh, can't stand him.
Yeah,
I don't like anything about Neil Young.
I know,
Not his
recently,
music or his politics or any of that stuff.
Yeah, well, recently he was like they're gonna play Joe Rogan on Spotify and
if you don't stop, I'm gonna take all my music off Spotify.
Oh my God! It's almost like
See
like back in that girl you were kind of dating and you were kind of like I think we need to break up. You're like, thank God. That saved me so much hassle.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh well, if that's like you don't want to say anything because you're kind of like, well, if I say the wrong thing, she'll stick around.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, okay, I think it's best as well. Yeah.
I think you need to find your happiness elsewhere.
I think it's the right thing for you.
I think honestly, I think if that's what you want, you really need to find your
okay.
Yeah. It's not. You don't even want to say it. It's not going to be easy for me. Well, if it's not going to be easy for you, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I'll make it.
Yeah,
I'll get counseling.
But like when Neil Young was like, I'm going to pull my music from Spotify. It's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, do it.
Whatever. Yeah. So, but anyway, with that
we
said,
need to do a whole episode on that. Just rant on artists that are super popular that we don't like.
Yes.
Yeah,
maybe next time.
Yeah.
Because again, and there's artists that, like I said, that people are like, I know if we had we do have a Twitter feed, but if people got on there, they would hate on us for not liking the Beatles. But it's subjective, man.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, and I just it's interesting that we have kind of similar stuff. Like I was, man, people like love Neil Young, and Bob Dylan, and I'm just kind of like, God, it's funny because I love Tom Petty, and Tom Petty has kind of a, he's not the most melodic singer ever, but I love his music.
Yeah.
But but Bob Dylan, man, it's
like a cult following to me. Yeah, that's what it seems weird. Like from the outside. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, not a big fan, but I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it's hard to find good music nowadays, and I think that's a breakdown of the institution of the music business. And there was plenty of bad stuff that the music business did. Right, they took way advantage of so many people, and they ruined lives, and they did a lot of bad stuff. But for the consumer, it was actually a pretty good system, I think, that was in place. And now it's not, so it's hard to find music that I like. And then again, if you are younger and you actually like the modern music, it's probably not a problem. You probably think it the other way, like, I have all access to so much music. I can listen to stuff from the 30s and the stuff from yesterday. But I don't. You made fun of me when you asked me if I had Spotify to listen to our first podcast. I'm like, yeah, nope, don't use it. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't stream. The only thing I really stream is movies on TV, and that's it. So.
Yeah. I mean, well, the whole it's crazy to me because you were talking earlier about your the individual you knew, and he gave you his whole digital library. And I remember, like, I went from we talked about this before, like. From vinyl to 8-track to cassette to CD to digital media or to the digital media
and to streaming
stream and now streaming like where I still own all my music. I still have my CDs and I still have they're sitting in a closet and I still have like digital purchases but which is kind of weird too because there have definitely been songs that I'm kind of like, oh, I want to listen to this song. And then I've gone back to find it on like digital, and it doesn't. It's not there. You know. Another thing too that bugs me. This is
since we're ranting.
So we're ranting, yeah. Is a lot of these digital things like live albums. There's and also like even like you mentioned Pink Floyd or any kind of concept album. Sometimes there'll be songs that you're kind of like, these two songs need to be played together.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but even though, but when they're tracked out, they're split.
Yeah.
Like an example I always use is Live Bullet, Traveling Man, Beautiful Loser. Those two songs run
go
right
together.
They
Yep.
go together,
Yep.
but they're tracked out differently, right? And there's nothing on there where I can take those things
And mesh them together.
yeah. If I'm shuffling my playlist, it's going to play, and it just ruins them.
Yeah, Jackson Brown, The Loadout and Stay. It's a very same thing.
Yeah.
Those songs it should be one song because
Yeah.
it's the same story.
Right.
I don't know why he called them two different songs. I don't know why that originally was two different
Right.
songs, but
Right.
yeah, same deal. Yeah. And Pink Floyd, I mean, just The Wall, that's all one
Yeah,
great
just-
big giant concept.
Yeah. Just play it through.
Just closer through, yeah.
Yeah.
Which with that, when you talk about impact, we were doing the podcast talking about film impacts. Man, that hit me between the eyes like nothing when I heard, because I was familiar with Pink Floyd before. That was a little bit before my time, but I was real familiar with Dark Side of the Moon and a couple of the other individual songs that they had done because of my older brothers. But I got The Wall, and it was mine. Like, I bought it on 8-track, which, by the way.
Wow.
Yep. And it was 1980, 80 or 81. I can't remember. But I had one of those little blue plastic 8-track players with a T handle on top. You click the handle down to change the track,
Wow.
But anyways, I got the lyrics to that thing, and I just read through, and the story just stuck with me. And I feel like I'm repeating myself 50 times here, but story is important to me. I mean, it really is, because that's what draws me in,
Yeah.
And that one just, man, that got me. And you can interpret it in so many different ways. And here's the weird part. My dad is 84 now, I think. He's 84. It was probably 20 years ago I turned him on to The Wall and explained to him what it was. And he's a Wall fan.
Wow.
Listens to it all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what? And then, so I grew up with him listening to country music and Patsy Cline and all of that,
Sure.
old what they call it, classic country.
Which is good stuff.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Oh, shit. It's great stuff. Yes, I'm beating up the microphone here. But I never in a million years would have expected him to listen to that. And then later on, I turned him on to Ziggy Stardust, and he loves it.
Really?
This is a David Bowie. I'm like, Jesus, he's in his 80s, man, and I bought him the CDs, and he listens to them. So,
Wow.
more power to you, I guess.
Well, that's good for your brain, man.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing we should do, just thinking maybe we can turn it into a thing, is with these podcasts, we should try to find maybe one piece of music a week
Okay.
that's new music, and we'll share it. And we can't play it on here,
Right,
but we
right,
can we can recommend it.
Okay.
And
yeah.
and I can play it. You can play it for ourselves,
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, because again, listening to the bands we like, and we do like a lot of the same bands, but I just like that. I just like pretty heavy 70s rock, 80s
Yeah.
rock. Like again, we've already talked about a couple of them, but like Boston, Rush, REO Speedwagon, Styx,
Yep.
Kansas,
All the
those kind
usuals,
of,
yep.
yeah, all those power bands, in the 80s, Van Halen and all those folks, and but just to find some good music and just kind of share it, because again, when we're talking, and I do feel like an old man sometimes, just because like I'll find something and I'm like, oh my God, this is new music. When did it come out? 2007. Holy smokes! It's like it's like
Get
wow.
off my lawn.
I know exactly, but it's still, good is good.
Yeah, no,
But-
that's true.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you do bump into stuff sometimes that
You do.
you're unaware of. But I sometimes I veer off the beaten path, and especially with music. And somehow I got turned on to Steve Vai in the early '90s, and he was with Frank Zappa for a while,
Right.
and then he actually played. I think Adrian Vandenberg from Whitesnake, he injured his hand or something, so Steve Vai actually played on their big popular album and went on tour with him until Adrian's hand got healed and stuff. But then he played a little bit with he played on one record with David Lee Roth after he had left Van Halen.
Yeah, was it?
Skyscraper.
Oh, well, really? 'Cause, who was on? Oh God!
Eat 'em and Smile.
Yes, that was Steve Vai too, wasn't it?
Whew, you're challenging me.
Let
Maybe,
me
yeah,
look.
could be. Yeah, it could be.
That was a great album, by
But
the way.
that's where he had the double heart guitar. I remember watching
Yeah,
him
yeah,
play
yeah.
with two opposing necks. But anyway, so I got into him and when he really started to take off on his own, and man, that guy just blows my mind with the creativity and the songwriting and the structure of his songs. And for his first couple albums, didn't even have lyrics. It was all musical stuff, and then he got into some lyrics and stuff. But anyway, so sometimes I do go off on tangents, but ultimately, I like what I like. That's it. And so, yeah.
And yes,
it was him.
Steve Vai was on Eat 'Em and Smile. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he played on. It doesn't look like he played on. No, he looks like he was. I mean, he was definitely on Yankee Rose, which is a great song.
Yep.
Going Crazy.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. But I will say I'm going to wrap up with this.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry.
So you and I have shared a couple of musical experiences together. Rush being one. But I will say my most memorable musical experience that I've shared with Tony is after Hurricane David. We took my 68 Camaro and we drove up to my dad's house in West Palm Beach.
Hurricane Andrew.
Hurricane Andrew. What did I say?
David.
Sorry. No, it was Andrew. Yep. So we were both stationed in Key West, and the hurricane missed us and beat the crap out of Miami.
Yeah, it did.
Yep. And so me and Tony took phone numbers of all the people down in the Keys whose parents were in Idaho or wherever, and we went up to my dad's house and made phone calls and let folks know that, your kid's okay, but we don't have phone lines. Yeah. And two things that I remember the most about that trip. One is as you drove north up the Keys, we started to see telephone poles and trees just slightly leaning. And then you drive a little bit more and the poles were leaning a little bit more. And then you drive a little bit more and they were like way leaning. And then as you rounded the corner into Homestead, coming up one.
That's where it hit, by the way.
Yeah, that's exactly what the eye of the hurricane went right through there. There used to be a trailer park that you could see. And literally, it was a big slab of concrete. There was nothing left there. And that was crazy to me.
I remember that.
And you remember seeing right through the Holiday Inn? It was like a 20-story building and all the glass was out. And you could see like a skeleton and you could see straight through.
I remember that.
Yep. So that, and then also how many times we played Boston. We just cranked Boston on that trip, and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
we listened to Boston. Both of us screaming at the top of our lungs, because that was the days when I had like a 6 zillion watt amplifier and 6x9s all over that car.
That Camaro, dude. Let's be honest, man. You white trashed the crap.
That was white trashed all the way, dude. Yeah, totally, for sure. But I had fun, man. I liked it. It was
it was good. Fun, well, we took a few trips up Miami, but I remember that. I remember because again, we have different tastes of music, but a lot of our tastes are pretty parallel.
Close, yeah. I think we're a lot closer on music than we are in movies.
Yeah,
I think, because
it's funny because liking is one thing, but when you mentioned, because I didn't know, because we were actually learning a lot about each other right now, because for me to say something like, I don't like, you go, I don't like Bob Dylan. I don't like Bob Dylan either. And again, when I say don't like, just, I know we're really treading on some probably the third rail for some people. I don't care about him as a person. I'm not a big, who I'm sure he's a very nice person. Yeah. Okay. But so when I say I don't like, it's just that I am not a particular fan of his music, and that's my subjective opinion.
Yeah, same here.
Like Neil Young, I think he's got a whiny ass voice. Yeah, and it drives me crazy, man.
That Bob Dylan harmonica, man. Oh my god, I shut it off as quick as I can when it comes on. I really do.
I know. And people are like, remember when Bob Dylan went electric? I don't care.
No, don't know.
I don't care.
Didn't pay attention then. I'm not paying attention now.
Wow, it's different. That's great.
I didn't even know he was still alive. I found that he's still alive.
He's still alive
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's still.
So,
but again, there are definitely artists out there that have voices that are.
Well, how many people make fun of Geddy Lee, right?
Oh yeah,
for that thing.
But his voice is amazing.
But I like it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, but he can do things with his voice that are.
I know.
Insane. So anyway, sorry, we're going down a hole here, but. Well, so did you say there was two things though? You said Boston going.
Yeah, and the visuals of that trip. And then Boston. I just remember we cranked up Boston in that white trash Camaro.
Oh my god,
man!
It
was no tomorrow.
I don't think you had
windows down.
I don't think you had AC.
No, there was no AC. Nope.
Yeah,
nope.
That was
windows
amazing.
down. And Boston cranked, man.
I know, man. Was it both albums or was it?
I think it was just the first one because that's my favorite
by far.
Yeah.
The second one's good.
Yeah, not too bad.
Third one's it blows.
Yeah, the first one's not good in my opinion. The third one's not good.
No, it's like maybe one good song.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. They had to appease the corporate. They signed the contract for 3
Who is that? Tom Schultz is the guitarist.
Yep.
Is the guitarist. Yeah, Yeah, and I've seen some YouTube videos with him, and there's one guy on oh man, I should give him a plug. He does music breakdowns, and I'm not a musical artist, but sometimes it's just like, hey, it's interesting to see how a bridge gets built or whatever. And he talks about, of course, and again, differences in the way music is now and the way it was back then. Tom Schultz, or people like Alan Parsons or whoever, but definitely Tom Schultz. That is the ultimate garage band.
Yeah.
I mean, he did that first album
literally in his garage.
In his garage. Yeah. And it's interesting because CBS, which he never got along with the first album. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he.
Sorry, it was my watch.
That's all right. That's okay. So he. They say, okay, we're going to produce this album, and they wanted him to go back out and go in the studio and redo it. And he's like, no, but there's things on the album, like where this guy, I'll talk about him next time, where he says, yeah, this is actually him playing the same intro twice, and he's like layered it on top of each other, and he gives it the sound that it has, and you can break it, and I'm just like, it just in it's a few notes. I'm just blown away. Yeah.
No,
and again, we just don't have.
Wasn't he an MIT grad?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And matter of fact, his amps and everything like that, he
made them.
He sells them now. You can still buy them. Yeah. And but yeah, I sometimes think, man, I'd love to learn how to play the guitar. And the reason I'd like to learn how to play the guitar is because I want to play a guitar like him. Like that, yeah. And again, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, who are they talking about, Boston?
Oh, my God.
And by the way, Boston's first album, self-titled. Okay,
yeah.
I think it probably came out like in 76 or 77 or something like that.
I think.
Something like that, yeah. And it was like, it may even still be like the number one debut album of a band.
Yeah.
Like it sold a bazillion.
Well, I will tell you this, that I'm very mood driven. So in other words, I can change my mood based on what music I listen to.
Right.
Very much so. Like I'm hypersensitive to that. And so I'll feel like I'm dragging or something going to work when I just need something, you know what I mean? Invariably I pick Boston.
Sure.
Every time, because that is so awesome. Just the pipe organ, the guitar.
Oh my God.
The positivity of it. It's uplifting, but still crunchy at the same time. Oh,
right.
I love it.
And again, bringing it back around to the topic of this podcast, Music to Live By, that whole album
absolutely
is amazing.
Yep.
Foreplay Long Time.
Yep. Well, more than a feeling, that's exactly what it's about. It's the power of music, right?
Yeah.
It's more than a feeling. This is like it's to your core, this impacts you.
Gives me chills, that damn song.
Yeah. Good song.
It's amazing. Okay, well, I don't know how long we've been talking.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's end it there because I got notes here. I'm just gonna run through quick. Like, look at this. I got Bob Seger on my notes. What do you know?
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay. Best live album.
Best live album, Frampton Comes Alive.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, without a doubt.
By far. I would say that. I love Silver Light Bullet.
Okay.
And One More from the Road, Skynyrd.
Okay, One More from the Road, not bad. I would throw in there Cheap Trick, Live at Budokan.
Oh my God, amazing album.
And I would throw in there Kiss Alive 2. Alive 1 was epic, but Alive 2 was way more polished to me. Like it's just a better album in terms of the recording and the music and stuff. Yeah. Right,
but I will tell you, but the funny thing about Cheap Trick at Budokan, for people that don't know, it was recorded in Budokan.
Yeah,
which is in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's funny because. They would announce the songs, and I'm pretty sure nobody in the audience spoke English, right? And so he'd say something like, "This is off our next album.
This next one's off the new album." And the crowd goes,
I don't know. I have no freaking clue. But which one was it? Surrender. The live version of Surrender is so much better than the studio album.
Yeah, the studio was not good.
Yeah, it's almost poppy.
Yeah.
But the Budokan version, it clearly rocked.
Bunny Carlos on the drums, just killing it, man. Just killing it.
What a great. Yeah, that would definitely be on the top list. But yeah, Frampton Comes Alive with the voice thing.
Well, it's not only that. It's like, to me,
it's such a good album.
Yeah, all the songs are good. They're better, like you just said. They're better than the studios.
Right.
But then then like it's like the arrangement of the songs is good. The pacing of it is really good. You know, it's like one flows into the next, and sometimes you're up and you're rocking, and the next time he'll play something a little more mellow, and it gives you a chance to catch your breath, and then off to another really good one, and then of course Do You Feel as the clincher.
God, man. Well, it's lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So.
Which, by the way, I'm going to add this in the podcast just in case anybody hasn't seen this. If you didn't know this, that guitar was involved in an airplane crash in South America.
I have heard about this.
Yep, and it was lost. And there's a big old long story around it, but eventually it was refound and re-delivered to Peter Frampton. And you can find that video on YouTube. And they captured the moment when the guy brought the guitar back to Peter Frampton, and he opened the case, and I swear to you, you can see the goosebumps like on him when he opens this case and he looks up and he goes, "This is my guitar." And it's like somebody found his kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like it is a cool ass story. It's one of those like rock and roll stories that will live forever.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, that happened recently, didn't it?
Yeah, within the last few years.
Yeah.
So,
but Frampton's amazing.
Yeah, cool.
Okay,
cool dude. Okay,
all right. We'll keep talking about this all night.
Yeah,
okay,
no.
We probably will continue to talk about this.
Probably,
but we're done boring you guys.
We're gonna hit the stop
button. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, well, again, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.